Hi, my name is Erin, and today I wanted to talk about social media use and the effect that I think it has on people these days. Specifically, I'm coming from the place of an artist. I, over the last few months, have been trying to make a bit of a career out of my art because I'm unable to do my normal job. So I decided to take a leap and get out there with my art, mostly using social media, also some in-person stuff. But I've learned a lot of things along the way about the effect that can have on people, and I've learned that I'm not alone. If you search Instagram or social media on YouTube, the first things that come up are videos about how to be successful on social media and strategies about it. And then if you search something like quit social media, the same amount of videos come up, and it's all from the perspective of people who are burnt out, whose mental health has been negatively affected, and just people who have struggled through the path of trying to make something out of their social media presence. So I do believe that this applies to anybody, whether you're a business, a brand, an artist like me, or just someone who has perceived that they need to be present on social media. This message is for you, and I want to go over some reasons why I feel this way, and at the end I want to go over some ways that you can find the same success without social media. So let's get into it. The first point that I would like to make is that social media is a distraction from your everyday life and from what's happening out in the real world. It is a distraction from what is directly in front of you. Your family and friends are right there waiting to hang out with you, wanting to know you. Your pets are right there. If you're spending so much time looking at your phone, you're missing it. Another way that it's a distraction is breaking you out of flow mode. So flow mode is something that I focus on a lot in my everyday. It's basically just getting into a mode where you are doing what you love to do and you're in the zone and you're very focused. Nothing else can come in. You're just in flow mode. That's something that happens with me when I paint, and it might happen to some people when they're writing or when they're exercising. And if you break your flow mode to scroll on social media, you're not going to have the same momentum that you did if you go back to what you were doing. The second point that I would like to make is about the fact that we are constantly comparing ourselves to other people if we are on social media. Whether we realize it or not, it's very hard not to be influenced by influencers. And if you are sensitive to, body image stuff, or if you're an artist and you're comparing your art to other people's art, it is almost impossible not to at least somewhat compare yourself to the people that you're seeing on the internet. So rather than being present with yourself and looking within and doing things that you love to do, you might be comparing yourself to everybody that you see on there. And that can be very harmful for your self-image, your creativity, and your just everyday productivity. On the same note, with the presence of social media and how broad of a reach it has, the amount of things that we have available to us to compare ourselves to has exponentially increased. And before the days of social media, we would have access to magazines and maybe the internet if you had access to the internet then, and books, and that's how we would consume our media, and sometimes the news or stuff like that, TV. And that was limited, there was only so much that was on there. You could choose what types of books you consumed or what magazines you bought. And now, if you're scrolling on social media, you have no control over what shows up in front of you on your screen. And if you are an artist, that also means that you are seeing so much different artwork and you aren't able to pick and choose what you are exposed to. And to a certain extent, that's great because you get to see artwork that maybe you never would have seen otherwise. But on the other hand, it can kind of encourage the whole, I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing that type of art, so I'm not going to be successful. And if you are able to kind of choose, I want to go to this art gallery, or I want to buy this magazine or this zine, or I want to get this art book for my coffee table, you are able to curate a little bit more what artwork is in your environment. And that way you can pick and choose what influences you. The point that I'm trying to make here is that it's unnatural to be exposed to the volume of influence that we are exposed to on social media, and it can negatively impact our creativity. The next point that I'd like to make is that, frankly, social media, it can be a waste of time. It depends on how you're using it. If you're using it for a short amount of time each day to post your artwork or post something important, and then you're using a small amount of time to catch up with people or make sure that you're responding to comments, that's one thing. But if you're spending hours and hours scrolling on social media, you're missing out on life. Where I'm coming from with this point is I've recently been faced with a lot of mortality in my life. I had a very close friend pass away a few months ago, and then over the last couple of weeks, I've encountered an unusual amount of people in life-threatening emergency situations. I witnessed a really bad car accident, and a couple days later, somebody got hit by a car out in front of my apartment, and I had to help perform CPR on this person. And something that I have taken away from those experiences that is the most important part of all of this to me is life is happening and it's limited. And if you're spending your life scrolling on social media, you are missing out on everything. Through these experiences, I asked myself, would I be okay with the amount of time that I spend on social media or worrying about creating content while I'm painting or whatever? Would I be okay with that if I were to find myself on my deathbed tomorrow? And I wouldn't be okay with it. I don't want that to be how I spend my time. I want to spend my time with my friends and family. I want to spend my time being creative. I wouldn't have been happy if I considered how much time I was spending worrying about the internet or social media. So I chose to make a shift and start getting my message out there through YouTube and through longer form content where I can talk about things like this. This way I can get out there what I think is important and get back to spending more time in my everyday life. My next point is about trying to tailor what you are creating to please an audience or what you think would be pleasing the algorithm. Especially as an artist or a business person, if you are creating artwork only because you think it's what people will like, it's not what is coming from your soul. And it can be kind of soul-crushing if you are creating artwork from your heart and people aren't liking it or sharing it or whatever. But the whole point of all of this is that shouldn't be what measures your success or measures whether what you're putting out there is good or not. There have been times previously, before coming to all these realizations, where I didn't even create or I didn't work on a painting because I didn't feel like recording or I didn't know if people would like it. And I've learned that all that matters is that I'm getting out what I need to get out as my creative outlet. That's what art is for. And if you are creating something that is authentically you, people will like it. The right people will find it. A note on the algorithm too. From what I have read and researched about the Instagram algorithm or the YouTube algorithm, the purpose of it is to get your content in front of people that enjoy it or would like it. And just because what you made didn't get the interaction that you think that it deserved does not mean that it's not good. It just means that there's so many people that are also doing the same thing, posting their artwork or their outfit for the day or anything else that they're posting that you might also be doing, that it's just an extremely saturated environment. There's too much competition. So just because the algorithm isn't pushing your content does not mean that it's not good, and it doesn't mean that your artwork isn't good. The next point is the biggest point, and it's mental health. The amount of studies that have been done on mental health and social media, the fact that studies have been done on that alone should tell you that social media is not healthy. It can be used as a tool and in a limited amount, but if you're relying on it for validation or your happiness or all of your social interaction, it can be extremely detrimental to your mental health. I did find a study that sort of encompasses all of the points about it being bad for your mental health. It's on PubMed Central. It was a study called Social Media Use and Its Connection to Mental Health, a systematic review. I will post a link to this study in the description, but I'll go over a couple of the main points in the conclusion. So part of the conclusion says, lately studies have found that using social media platforms can have a detrimental effect on the psychological health of its users. There are a lot of other good points made in this article, and they were very thorough in this study. So I definitely recommend reading into it if you are at all curious. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I would bring up some points where I think we can improve or we can have a more balanced approach to social media and to our use of it or our posting on it or however you currently use it. Unfortunately, these days, if you are a business or an artist or a brand, it is important to have a presence on social media. That is just the way that it is. So rather than quitting social media, which if you're able to do that, if you don't need to have a presence on there, if you don't need to have something to show on there, then quit it, like you don't need it. I don't need it, but it is helpful for me as an artist to have photos of my artwork on Instagram where people are used to going to look at that kind of stuff. My approach is I've set a limit on the app per day on my phone, which you can do on your iPhone. I've set a 20-minute limit per day, and that gives me enough time if I'm going to post something that I can post it and follow up and see if I have any comments later in the day. If I don't post anything on social media that day, I try to stay off of it. If I need to look somebody specific up, or if I need to get back to some messages or anything like that, then that 20-minute limit gives me time to do that without being able to spend hours scrolling or even an hour scrolling. I don't want to scroll at all. And obviously, part of the downfall of this is I discover less artists, but spending less time on social media gives me more time to focus on getting out into the world and going to art galleries and art shows and reading books and looking at art books and kind of picking and choosing what I expose myself to. Especially for people who are creating content, another way to minimize the amount of time you have to spend on social media or worrying about posting is having 1 to 2 formulas for the way that you post that work for you and you've seen results from. If you find that there are 1 or 2 different formulas for the type of posts that work well, only do those. That way, you can just analyze your own posts and find out what works well for you and rinse and repeat. That way, creating a reel is a quick process, or curating a post is a quick process, and you can be done with it. And you can post it, you can schedule it out if you're able to do that, and just not spend all day worrying about it. Another thing that you can do is use Instagram or whatever your social media platform of choice. Use it as a portfolio. So the most important thing is just having something visually there for people to find. So if you're an artist, then post photos of your artwork or short reels of your artwork with the final product as the cover photo. At least you have something there to show. The other side of having a balanced approach to social media is getting off of it and going out into the real world. Go to galleries, go to art openings, go to the library, anything that gets you out of your house, at least that gets you off of your phone. Another thing, if you're wanting to get your business out there, is in-person events. Do an art show. Submit your paintings to an art gallery. Go to small businesses that sell art prints or zines or anything that artists create and ask if you can do consignment. A lot of stores do consignment for artists. If you're a small business and you're wanting to advertise, I live in Los Angeles, and the amount of people who are advertising their businesses with in-person ads, like bench ads or like wheat pasted ads or anything like that, is huge. And I would say that it's extremely effective. I know that people notice those ads. Or you can hand out flyers at local businesses, or you can go to meetups that have similar-minded people and tell them about your business. There are so many ways that you can get out into the real world and advertise yourself and your business or your art or whatever it is that don't involve sitting at home scrolling on your phone or worrying about what you're going to post tomorrow. So in conclusion, I want to encourage everyone to spend less time on social media. And if you are in a position where you don't feel that you need it at all, then try quitting it, or at least try taking a break from it. It could be hurting you more than you know. In the last couple of weeks, I have really minimized the amount of time that I spend on social media, and I've noticed a difference in my mental health, and I've noticed that I find myself going back to things that I love to do or love to focus on. I would like to prompt everyone watching this video to discuss in the comments below how you plan to minimize your social media use, or if you agree or disagree with anything that I said in this video. I want to hear your opinions, your experiences, and anything that you might have to add to any of the points that I made in this video. As I said at the beginning, I'm in the process of figuring out what type of content I want to create on here and how much I want to focus on art versus using my life experiences to help others, because I think that YouTube is a wonderful platform for people to be able to share their experiences. I do have a Patreon. I am posting more personal behind the scenes stuff on there, like videos of my pets and everyday life and things like that. So if you're interested in something like that, I'll leave the link for that down below. And I really hope to see you in my next video. I'd love it if you stuck around for that. Thank you so much. Bye.